Hi friends, welcome to our last video of Unit 3, 3.6 and 3.7, which is our other senses. So taste, smell, and touch. Those are the three that we're going to be looking at here. As you can see, I'm in the same outfit from the other videos. It's not because I don't change my clothes. It's just because I've made my videos all in one day after school. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we got our learning targets. We're going to deal with our chemical senses, which is taste and smell. Then we're going to look at our body senses, which is touch. Then also pain theories, vestibular sense, and our kinesthetic sense. Chemical senses. Okay, let's talk about taste first. This is our gustation sense. Remember, that's our scientific word for taste. And taste is going to be a chemical sense because a substance is what is being detected here. It's not like an energy like we saw in light and hearing. It's going to be a chemical that's detected on the tongue. So you have your papilla, which is like the surface of your tongue. And if you feel your tongue, you feel that it's not soft, right? It's got these bumps. Most of the time we think those bumps are taste buds, but the taste buds are actually inside those bumps. So if you feel your tongue, right? I mean, wash your hands first, but you'll feel bumps or ridges. That's your papilla, and those taste buds are inside those. Okay, and then even inside the taste buds, you have your taste receptor cells. This is a nice diagram off to the right of all the different parts. You don't need to know this, but I just wanted to show you in case you're curious of like, what's a taste bud, what's not, what's a taste receptor, what are all of the things that are connected to it. You can see that we have our afferent nerve here, which means our sensory nerve or our sensory neuron, right? Okay, gustation, taste, we're still talking about it. Taste buds regenerate approximately every 2 weeks. So if you burn your tongue on something or you have a bad taste in your mouth, it's okay. They replenish each other or they come back. So if you burn your tongue once, they're not like gone forever, which is nice. It's not like hearing. Once you damage those hair cells, you're kind of done for. We have what's called super tasters. So these are individuals with more papilla. So you can see they have more of those risen bumps across their tongue. And since those taste buds are in the bumps, they therefore then have more taste buds on their tongue. So they're more sensitive to tastes. And you can put the blue dye, and in class we're going to do this with blue food coloring. You'll be able to see how many, if you have a lot of taste buds or not, and we can determine maybe if you're a super taster or not. Online friends, I'll put the instructions on Canvas if you want to try it, but unfortunately, this is something that we're going to do in traditional classroom setting. I wish you all were here so we could do it together. Traditional taste sensations consist of 5 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Not your mommy, umami, right? It almost tastes salty, but it's different. You find this a lot in Asian foods through MSG, and we're going to talk about it in traditional class, and I'll have a little thing for my traditional learners to try. Online learners, you can get this from the store and mix it into some water and try it yourself. Okay, moving forward, let's talk about olfaction, aka smell. Remember, we have our scientific term, but this is just talking about our sense of smell. And like taste, smell is also a chemical scent because there's odorants or molecules in the air that you're smelling. They enter the nasal cavity to stimulate 5 million receptors to sense smell. So you have your nasal cavity, right? You can see you've got your olfactory bulb and all of these sensors that are in the nasal cavity that then take the information to your olfactory bulb. So it is responsible for detecting odorants, and we're able to detect around 10,000 different odors. So you can detect a lot of smells. Again, they really don't ask you about in-depth parts of smell, but I want to provide that information for you, one, so you know it, and two, just in case that they do. Okay, again, you don't really need to know the whole process here, but I just wanted to spell it out for you so you can see all the different parts that are involved in smell. The olfactory receptors in the nasal cavity regenerate approximately once a month, so they're constantly regenerating. It's really cool. Your taste buds regenerate, and your olfactory receptors also regenerate as well. You can see all the different areas that a smell is going to go through to be processed. Smell and memory. So they talk about how smell is the #1 sense to help you remember something. And you want to notice, you want to think about why. Why is that the case? Well, if you notice where the hippocampus is and where the olfactory bulb is, this will start to kind of make sense. Okay, so you have your hippocampus is here, and if you remember, you just saw that the olfactory bulb was on the border between your frontal lobe and your temporal lobe, and it was right above that nasal cavity, right in here, which is very, very close to the hippocampus. So you can notice that your smells are very close to where your memories are made. And so that's going to have an impact on why if you smell something, it can take you right back to that memory. Maybe it's a perfume or cologne that your significant other used to wear, that even though you might not have talked to them for a while, if you smell that, you're like, oh my gosh, it brings back all of these memories. Sensory interaction. When one sense affects the other one, sensory interaction takes place. The taste of fruit interacts with the smell and the texture in the tongue to produce the taste. And so sometimes we don't like the taste if we don't like the texture on the tongue, right? Or sometimes we don't like the taste if we can't smell it. Or if you don't like the taste and you're trying to maybe get medicine or spinach juice or celery juice, that stuff is nasty. If you're trying to drink it for the health benefits, but you don't like the taste, a really good thing you can do is plug your nose. And so that sense of smell, because it interacts with the taste, is actually going to diminish the taste of the celery juice. So you're not going to taste it as much. Also, if you're not able to see something, that can also impact your smell as well. So you can see all of the senses interact. And when one sense is gone or being diminished, usually your other senses are able to kick in a little bit more. Okay, let's talk about body senses. So we're moving forward. We've talked about taste. We've talked about smell. Let's talk about body senses. So first, let's talk about touch. So this is skin and body, aka somatic. The sense of touch is a mix of 4 distinct skin senses. So we talked about this a little bit in Unit 2, but this is pressure, temperature, vibration, and pain. Okay, so you have your receptor, and then it gets processed to your central nervous system. Pain. Why do we feel it? Well, guess what? There's so many different theories. So pain tells the body that something is wrong, right? If everything is good, we're usually not in pain. Usually pain results from damage to the skin or other tissues. There's a rare disease in which a person feels no pain, known as congenital insensitivity to pain. Now think about why that's a disease or a poor condition to have. Well, if pain lets you know that something's wrong and you can't feel pain, then you might not know that something is wrong. Right? And so the main features of that would be lack of pain sensation, injuries, inability to sweat, infection in joints, and bone fractures. That's a lot, right? And so pain might be annoying to you sometimes, but the fact that you're able to feel it is really good because that lets you know that something's wrong so you can fix the problem. Okay, there's different influences when it comes to perceiving and experiencing pain. So we have some biological influences. You can see that we're going to look at biological, psychological, and social cultural. Biological influences: activity in the spinal cord, genetic differences in endorphin production. So maybe you don't produce as much endorphins as someone else does. the brain's interpretation of central nervous system activity. So all of those can deal with pain from a biological standpoint. We also have our psychological influences. So attention to pain, if you're really, really focused on it, that can increase your level of pain. Learning based on experience or expectation of pain relief. So maybe you know that Advil relieves pain really well for you. So as soon as you take it, you start thinking, oh, my pain's going to go away. And it actually helps a little bit. Because there is that psychological factor to it. Also, if you are focused on your pain, like I said, it could increase it. But if you focus your attention elsewhere, sometimes that can diminish the pain that you're feeling as well. Can also be a social cultural influence, so presence of others. Maybe you're in a lot of pain, but you don't want to show it, and so you kind of suppress it. Empathy for others' pain. Sometimes people can feel large amounts of pains for someone else because they have a lot of empathy towards others. Our cultural expectations in expression and experience of pain. So maybe it's not okay to express that you're in pain based on some of your cultures or the environment that you're from or raised in. Okay, we have the gate control theory when it comes to pain. So this is proposed that our spinal cord contains neurological gates that either block pain or allow it to be sensed. The subjective experience of pain is managed by large neural fibers in the spinal cord that act as gates. So basically, this is like the idea that the spinal cord is either going to allow you to feel pain or it's going to block it. And so think about a gate. A gate can either be closed and keep something out, or it can be open to let something in. So where does pain then go in the brain? Because obviously we know for us to perceive something or for us to interpret something, it's got to get sent to the brain. So where does that go? Pain sensory input is relayed by the thalamus. Oh, look, the thalamus relays a lot of things. So we talked about how it relays sensory information besides smell. And it's also going to be helpful in relaying the pain. So it can be sent to the somatosensory cortex. So sensory components of pain, maybe judgments of pain, location, quality of pain, intensity of pain. It could also be sent to the limbic system, or from there can also be sent to the limbic system. So this is, of course, our emotional part of the brain. So this is the primary emotional and motivational components of pain. This allows you to feel like that immediate unpleasantness and you want to escape from your pain. So this adds more of the emotional side besides our pain. Now, sometimes it doesn't go there, right? Sometimes our pain isn't like emotional, like, oh, we desire for it to stop, maybe like internal. Sometimes our pain can just go straight to our frontal cortex, or it can be sent there after going to the limbic system. This is our secondary emotional and motivation of pain, suffering, worrying about the future. So pain can get sent to multiple different places depending on what sort of pain that you're feeling. Are you feeling immediate pain from an injury? Are you feeling it from an emotional standpoint? Are you feeling it from a judgment standpoint? Maybe worry is causing you to experience some pain. Where it gets sent to the brain is going to help you determine what kind of pain you're feeling and how you can deal with it. Phantom limb pain. So we talked about this in our Secrets of the Mind video. So remember, pain is not merely a result of stimulation. So you can feel pain in an arm even if your arm is not there, right? If someone punches you in the arm, you're going to feel that, but you can also feel pain even if you don't have an arm for someone to punch. So this is the idea that amputees feel painful sensations that seem to be originating with the missing part. So we talked about this when we watched Secrets of the Mind video, but this could be due to the cross-wiring in the sensory cortex with the nearby areas taking over the areas of the missing limb. So when we talked about that guy, I don't remember his name, but when he touched his face, he also felt that on his missing arm, and that's because the face, sensitivity to the face on that sensory cortex is right next to where that sensory information would be for his arm. And so we learned through brain plasticity that parts of the brain adapt or rewire to fix the damaged parts. And so that part for sensory information from his face has taken over that area for his arm because his arm's not there. And so he can still feel that sensation even though he doesn't have a limb there. It's pretty crazy. But I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because we've already talked about it a lot in Unit 2. Okay, body position and movement. So your ability to, balance, move, all of that stuff. The sense of our individual body parts, positions, and movement is called kinesis. This is our kinesis sense or movement, understanding where your body parts in regards to each other. So without looking, touch your nose with your finger. Boop. You didn't have to continuously look at your nose and then look at your hand to make sure that you got that right. Right? You didn't have to be like, okay, nose, 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 okay, finger on the nose. No, you know where your nose is, you know where your finger is, you're able to just touch it, right? You see this in babies when you say, touch your eyes, touch your nose. So this is something that you develop early on, but this just allows you to understand where your body parts are in regards to each other. So you know that your arms are up here, you know that your legs are down here. And this helps you with activities like dance or tumbling. Because you have to know where those body parts are to make those movements. Our vestibular sense monitors the head and the whole body's position in space. So you're like, what? So this sense is located in our semicircular canals in the ear. This is the fluid that I talked about that are in those canals that can have effects on like our balance or our position in space. This is our sense of balance, knowing we're right side up or not, right? And so this works closely with your cerebellum. So sometimes if you have too much fluid in your ear, that can affect your balance. Changing altitudes and changing pressure can also affect your balance. So I like to go hiking. And when I hike in the mountains, like in Colorado, I can tell that my vestibular sense is off because I'm at a higher altitude. And so me personally, I have to be more careful because I start to get like more wobbly. And so when I was at the Grand Canyon this past summer, my friend was like, can you walk on the inside? Like, I don't want you to walk on the outside because my balance gets off a lot easier than some other people. Okay. So this wrapped up our senses. Again, in class, we're going to go into a little bit more detail. We're going to do some demonstrations that hopefully help with some of the understanding. Online friends, I really wish you could join us in our demonstrations, but I'll type it out online so you could set it up on your own if you have the ability to. But just make sure that you know that we are watching our videos, we're taking our notes, we're taking our class notes because I can't cover everything in these videos unless you want to watch hour-long videos, which I know that you don't. And so just make sure that you are watching your videos and taking notes. Thanks, guys.